This is Abnormal Entertainment.
2, 3, 4. Walked into the tunnel just to find the light. Hunted for old demons, looking for a fight. Looked up at the stars, seemed to go forever. There must be a way, it all fits together. Fell into the quicksand, held on to the vines. Never could quite color, stay within the lines. Feels like I have wings, I can fly wherever. This is just a way, it all fits together. Finally saw the world through rose-colored glasses. Gonna share my journey to small and large masses. Give up on my life, no sir, me never. This is how I put it together. This is how I put it together. This is how I put it together.
Hey everybody, welcome. This is Daniel Garza. Here's another episode of Put It Together. I'd like to start as usual thanking my producer, Mr. Kevin Morris, for all his help and support. Thank you, sir. Inviting everybody to check us out at abnormalentertainment.com. We can find all the shows on the network. Go check us out at Put It Together Podcast on Facebook. We can find my guests, the videos, music, information on them, all kinds of stuff. Go check it out. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Now you can find me on all these under Daniel G. Garza. So go check it out. I'm rebranding. I'm putting new stuff out there. So look for Daniel G. Garza. Today, I'm excited to have, I want to say a new friend, because we did become friends.
We are new friends.
I think once you dress and undress in front of another man.
You remember that. That's right.
You have to become friends. Sevag,
Sagherian.
You are a director, casting director, entrepreneur, and survivor. Because
yes.
I have to throw that in there. But for the folks listening, I met Sevag in New York on this last trip, and we were shooting some promos. More information to come on that.
That's right.
We were shooting some promos and some videos and stuff, and they didn't like the shirt I was wearing, which I didn't either, because it was just a wear shirt. And they were like, "You look great, let's shoot." And then once we started shooting, they were like, "No, we don't like it." So Sevag was kind enough to let me borrow his shirt, and we ran into the
shirt off my back.
My back. That's how good, for anybody listening, that's how good a director he is. He will take his shirt off his back to make sure that his actors look good.
Oh, thank you, brother.
So we ran into the bathroom. Everybody was all like, "Why are the straight guy and gay guy undressing in the bathroom?" So we let me borrow his shirt. So when these promos come out and y'all see me in this shirt, it's actually soft. I was going to keep it. I was actually going to pretend because it was a nice shirt.
Are you saying I got some style then? Okay.
Yeah, but he was like, "Oh, did I get my shirt back?" And I was like, "Whatever, dude." How are you?
I'm great. Well, I mean, talking about shirts, I mean, if I knew this was going to be a video chat, I would have been less Alcatraz-like, you know?
You look great. You look great.
Oh, thanks, brother. Thanks.
But how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. You know what? It's busy. It's a good problem to have. I'm excited. I love it when it's busy because, you get anxiety when it's not. You know, when you own your own business, you take what you can get and you hope for more to come your way.
And are you in your studio right now?
I'm in Toronto in our studio here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm off to Vegas in a few days for something out there. And then from there, I'll be coming your way to LA. So awesome. I'm looking forward to that. Actually, I was just in LA like a week and a half ago. I'm doing a lot more work out there and I'm loving it. So
I look forward to seeing you in person, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go grab some tacos.
Definitely have to connect. I'm just finding it. There's abundance of work out there, man. And, if you're decent and passionate about what you do, people are gravitating towards you, which is good.
Well, if you ever need a little Mexican,
Yes.
I know one that would be willing to work with you again.
I'll certainly come your way, and I would love to work with you again.
But let's get started because you have a really cool story. So, Sevag, can you tell us how you put it together?
In talking to you, as I said, I don't know if I put it together, but I'm comfortable where I'm at, and I'm comfortable with the journey, whether, the peaks and the valleys, and where it's put me now. And I don't believe in accidents. Things happen for a reason to make you stronger, reevaluate, reprocess, to be grateful, not take things for granted and stuff like that. So, I'm happy, I'm content where I'm at, and I'm interested in seeing and excited about where things are going.
Cool. So, where does your put it together story start?
Well, if you want to start from when we moved, I'm Armenian, Lebanese. I was born in Lebanon. Due to the civil war that was happening there in the early 70s, my family was, we were forced to move for survival. And we moved to Toronto, and I'm fortunate to call Toronto my home because they embraced us, they welcomed us. It was, again, nothing happens for a reason, but we came here. I had to learn English because I knew Arabic and Armenian, and a little bit of French. French is the second language in Lebanon. So it was tough. It was tough kind of mixing in. Kids are tough. Kids are, there's a lot of bullying then that wasn't under the microscope back then. Kids are mean, and I was fortunate enough to kind of be athletic and fend for myself, but also fend for my older sister too.
How old were you?
I was 6, 7. Then we went back to Lebanon when things got better. Then we came back a couple of years later, and we just said, Toronto's going to be a home. Toronto's better. Toronto, there's a future, for us, our kids. This is my parents thinking, obviously, right? So we also had family here. We had cousins here. So it was easier to kind of get in the flow and not, because, when there's bombs blown up beside you and, there's a lot of trauma that you deal with, when you're hiding in bunkers because you could potentially just die, right? Get killed. So, we came to Toronto, and Toronto became our home, learned English to combat the bullying, got more athletic and got stronger and made friends, and, things propel from there. And, I'll touch on the athletic side of things. Before this whole directing, acting thing, I was an athlete, captain of the wrestling team, captain of the tennis team, captain of the volleyball team. And that, I think, really helped me with my confidence, with also self-motivation. As an athlete, you have to kind of, you learn more off of a loss than a game. Off of a loss than a win. Yeah, because, when you win, you party, right? And you're good. You don't really assess the situation. But when you lose, it sucks.
Right.
It sucks. It's a shitty feeling, right? And you don't want to feel that again. So you better yourself and you ask why. And so that really, I think, helps me in business as well.
But I want to go back before I don't want to just gloss over, because there has to be memories, some scars from living through a war area. Do you remember any of that?
100%. The thing is, reflecting, and I'm not going to say I didn't have problems, Daniel. Like when I came here and I'm a kid, and it's traumatic, right? What you see, what you hear, and even though you're a child, you're aware, right? You're aware of your surroundings, and you're taking it all in. And I lost my grandfather, and that was tough. Seeing my mother deal with that, death. When you're 6, 7, it doesn't really process. You just don't see them anymore, But when you see your mother crying, and when she found out, I still remember it like it was yesterday when she got the news that her father passed, my grandfather, right? So obviously, and then when we moved here, there were times, and I mean, this is like no holds barred. Like I'm telling you, I'm letting you behind the curtain. There were times where I would just have migraines and I would just have to I was shell shocked, right? Like I didn't want, like if you walked, if my blood sugar dropped, it would echo, and I didn't want people to walk, and I didn't want people to talk too loud. And, it was almost like heightened superpowers,
Right. Yeah.
But in a negative way, so it wasn't easy.
Yeah. Cause we talk a lot about post-traumatic stress disorder on soldiers and such, but, we don't discuss it a lot about children of war.
For sure.
And it's the thing I can say is there's one thing about maybe being a child of divorced parents and you don't hear them arguing, but then all of a sudden there's a split. But as a child, I'm just imagining, as a child living through that, you're hearing bombs or guns or such, and you have to carry that with you, correct?
You do.
Yeah.
You do in every way, though. In every way, Yeah, I mean, you don't pull an Oprah on me right now. Don't.
I try not to. It's just I wanted to give that time of your life the importance it deserves, because I think that
it does, Daniel. But also, I know I blocked a lot of it out, and I can tap into it if need be. No, because 3 years ago it was the first time I actually went back to Lebanon. 3 years ago, and I hadn't been there in 38 years.
Wow.
But I knew where we lived. I knew which variety store I used to go to buy chocolate milk or a Matchbox car. I knew. But then so much had changed around me, like buildings have gone up and stuff. But I have a vivid memory of what we went through as a family, as a unit. The bell would go, the sirens would go, we'd have to go in the bunker. Those are moments that you can't block out. But the way I got through everything was blocking it out. That was my defense mechanism.
That was my next question. Yeah. Okay, this is the last question I'll ask you about that. Yeah. How has that situation helped or not helped you now?
I think it's definitely helped. You said I'm a cancer survivor as well. I don't want to jump to that yet, but you got to look at everything and appreciate now. You have to appreciate the freedom you have in another country. You have to appreciate the opportunities you have. My father and my parents, my mother as well, their main goal was, how do we get our children and our family out of here and give them a future, a better future than us? And, that was their main goal.
Right.
So how has it helped? I don't take it for granted what my parents gave up, what they left behind, what they sacrificed. They left family behind that didn't have a green card or a passport and all that, the luxury that, it took time to get the paperwork aligned for you to even come overseas,
Right.
So that I use as motivation in everyday life.
All right, cool.
And I always say, Daniel, one of my favorite saying is, if I can be half as strong and half as good as a person that my father is, I'm a good person and I'm a strong person, because, they don't make people like they used to,
Very true.
It's easy to quit, but these guys, they're like machines, man. Even my mom, the heartache that they overcome for your family. Yeah. That's their motivation, family.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna jump now to back to school. I'll get you out of there. I was gonna go for the Oprah moment. We'll save that for another time. Yeah. So let's talk about you in school. You get here, you don't know the language.
Yeah.
Did you know? And I'm gonna sound ignorant right now, but did you know about sports in school? Was that something that you learned already?
The thing is, I was always good in sports, and not to boast, that just came easy to me. My father played soccer. My father was a pole vaulter. He was a sprinter. And yeah, I still remember watching his soccer games, and I was lucky to be athletic because that made me friends. It made me enemies too.
Right.
You know, but I still remember coming here not knowing the language and only knowing yes, no, fuck you, or whatever, right? Honestly, honestly, I took ESL. I took English as a second language.
Right.
You know?
No, I'm laughing because most people do learn the bad words first.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I also remember the bullies, and I remember my sister and I knowing who, identifying, as a child, you identify who has it out for you, who's targeted you. And we used to, no joke, hide under cars to avoid them.
Wow.
Not a lot of people know this.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is crazy because I'd like to revisit those guys one day.
Well, if you are out there and you remember Savan and you're like, I know that kid. Ha ha.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it does scar you, man. It does. And, like I said to you, kids are mean. And back then, there was no attention on these bullying. Like, it was what it was.
Yeah. Because aren't we about the same age group?
I'm 46.
Yeah, I'm 47. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're on the same. Yeah. So you start to excel in sports.
And sports is a universal language, right? Pass the ball is pass the ball in soccer, that sort of thing. And everybody likes to win. And I was the best soccer player in the school. I went in wrestling, 60 matches, no losses. So physically I was fit. And I used that as an advantage. I knew it was making me friends. It was giving me the circle to kind of survive, if that counts, right?
Yeah.
And it was there, we're taught to protect our family, my sister, so the more popular I became, the more popular my cousins, my sister, because we all went to the same school, So, yeah, I stood for what was right. I kind of was, again, I didn't like bullies. As I got stronger, I defended the guys that were getting bullied, even though they were my friends, some of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot more similarities between us. We're both immigrants.
Yeah.
And because we came so young, kind of considered first generation-ish. In the Mexican culture, when we come across the border, there is this fight between our cultures because we want to assimilate to the American culture, yet hold on to our roots, with our parents. And there's always this struggle. Was that true to you?
Yeah, I'm proud to be Armenian, and I'm proud to be from Lebanon. And when we came here, the first thing that we did was enroll in Saturday school to still maintain our language, our mother tongue. We were forced to speak as much Armenian in the household as possible. We would get in crap if we spoke English in the house, even though we want to learn the language, but our parents were adapting too. You have to understand, right? So it's harder for them to learn that second language. I still, Daniel, I don't know how my parents did it. I don't know how they raised with such limited, 5 kids. It ain't easy. 5 kids with limited English, grasping at straws, desperate to put food on the table. Just the other day, I visited the building that we spent over 15 years in.
Wow.
Which is like the jungle, they call it here. But that's what we knew then. And it's a dangerous area, but you know what? That's the circle that we knew. Right. So, and those are friends that I'm with for life, because it wasn't about how much you made or the class that you were in. You were just thrown at the wolves. It's like fend for yourself, but that's where the true love and the connection came from friendship. And I'll be friends with those people for the rest of my life.
What do you think are the most important lessons you learned from your parents during those years?
A lot.
Yeah.
You're pulling an Oprah again. a lot, because I saw, it wasn't easy. Like if you look at the building that we grew up in right now, we go, fuck, how did we do it? How did we do it? How did we fit 7 people in there, How did my dad do it? How did he get up every morning? What motivated this man to do, and this woman to be apart too? They would leave each other. We didn't all move here at the same time. It took time for papers to get ready and stuff. So how did they do this? There's so much I can take from my parents, and I thank them for it. But, I consider it's all about family. That's what they have ingrained in us, is family.
Yeah. I don't know if you were like me. Like, I didn't know we didn't have a whole lot because my parents
never made us feel that way.
Yeah. They made everything last, and everything. There was always food in the refrigerator, and whether it was just rice and beans, but there was always something. And I was pretty much only child because my sister is 9 years older than me.
Yeah.
I can't imagine 5 kids in one house. Did you ever feel that way? Like growing up now, you're like, wow, we really didn't have a lot, but it didn't seem that way.
They never made us feel like we were missing out on anything, whether it was a school trip, class trip, a clothing, food, Our culture is all about giving as well, even to our neighbors. When my mother saw and identified one of my friends who was our neighbor, who was being abused in certain ways from and neglected from their family, we didn't have the food, but there was a place for him at our dining room table. And when you see that, you don't say anything as a child, but you take it in.
Yeah.
You take it in and you say, you understand, you know what? A child knows right from wrong. So, when you see your mother going to extra lengths to help somebody else out, and you love that mother and you trust that they're always, back then they're always right too, your parents, right?
Yeah.
They can do no wrong. But that ingrains values and instills values in you, So it hurts me to see somebody poor, someone, living on the streets or whatever. There are people that are numb to that, but I certainly am not, So, yeah.
Was your area your area, was it more welcoming to immigrants then than it is now?
I think nothing has changed. When I went, honestly, nothing's changed. So, for kicks, we used to play marble and tags and capture the flag and, ball hockey. Well, we're in Canada. We're playing hockey, right? But I don't think anything's changed because I still recognize the class of people that live there. But it's true, man. It's as real as it gets. It really is. And who am I to judge? I don't judge, man. I've been through that. And it made me the person I am. And like I said, because due to social media, you reconnect with these people that you were friends with. And, we're all proud of each other. We all back each other because we know now what we were growing up in. But back then, you don't know anything about classes. You really don't. Yeah. And you don't judge. And you just love.
Yeah. Do you remember what you wanted to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a tennis player.
That was it.
I want to be a number 1 in the world.
All right. So take us through that journey.
So let's touch on that.
Yeah.
Here's an immigrant family, and their son wants to play tennis, which is one of the most expensive sports, right, which is another tier, 10 tiers above the class that we're living in, And I recognize my father busting his ass, my mother doing what she can. My mother loved, Jimmy Connors, John McEnroe, Vitas Gerulaitis. These are all old names, but they didn't want to deprive their kid of, they also recognize our kid's talented, and he wants to do it. And he's got passion in this. And, I kind of feel selfish for choosing that sport because my family, they had 4 other kids. You pop a string on a racket, you're paying back then $30. Just,
wow.
Lessons alone are $30 to $40 an hour. an hour. Back then, that's like paying $80, $90 now, you know? And they never said no. Shit, I don't know how they did it. I'm having a tough time with, you know, I've got 3 kids and they're in tennis, they're in sports, and, you know, I'm just so proud of them, you know? I'm so proud of them. So I chose tennis. I developed, I used our class that we were in as a family as motivation. Like, I didn't want to let my father down. I took it hard when I lost. And also my father was kind of like a general, man, you know? You know, if I made a mistake, all I would hear from the sidelines is, you're already pissed, and this guy is going, you know, he's never picked up a racket in his life, but yet he's like, you know, and I honestly, I have had my father ejected from the stands.
What?
Yeah, man, I was not a good sportsman. I grew up too late, and I was a sore loser. I mean, I hated losing. I hated losing. You know, I threw my racket, but then when I realized, you know, when I started growing up and I said, shit, I can't afford to break that racket. That's going to cost my dad money, you know? So there's ways to deal with it. Don't lose. Run more, work out more, play more, you know?
Yeah. Do you think that kind of training when you're young, because it's not just physical training, it's mental training. Yeah. Cause I understand
How
that.
would be so fit. Yeah.
It makes me a tougher boss sometimes because I know things can get done. I know it's possible. So when people tell me I can't, I don't know how, I'm like it baffles me. How does that work for you as a boss?
No, I mean, you hit the nail right on, man. You know, once a week we have prep talks here. And I'm kind of like their cheerleader. And sometimes I need the cheering, you know, the lifting up, right? But, you know, you don't show it. But I try to make winners out of my children, I try to make winners out of my people, like my employees. And, you know, I'm as good as they are. And I think even as a captain, you got to know and respect your crew, you know. We fuel each other. I'm blessed to have an incredible team that works with me, not for me, you know? And, you know, I love our business. You know, we'll touch on the business too, but I love our business in so many ways, but one of them because, you know, one day I'm directing, something for athletic apparel. The next day it's biotech. The next day it's, food. The next day it's like you become well diverse and you meet people of different professions and cultures and this and that. And, you know, from all the people I've interviewed, and I interview we shoot a lot of billionaires too. You start identifying there's a common denominator in these people. And, you know, when the camera's not rolling, you have conversations with them and you learn. You know, what I've learned, shut up and listen to these people. There's a reason why they're successful. And one of them said, you know, you're going to have a tough time scaling your business. And I said, why? And he said, you can't clone yourself. I go, oh, come on. Now he goes, but another thing is stop micromanaging. Because that was a sickness that I had. I needed to be there. I needed to do that. I wanted some level of involvement all the time, right? And, you know, he and she said, you've hired this team and assembled this team for a reason. You identified a talent in them. So let them spread their wings and let them show you an experience and also reap those rewards, you know? And that lesson, I learned at a late age, 40, to learn to delegate, to step back, trust the process, and let them be. Yeah. You know?
Otherwise, why did you hire that person?
Exactly.
If you don't trust them to do the job. Yeah.
But I'm also fortunate enough to play a team sport like tennis and volleyball because not tennis and volleyball and soccer, and the individual sport of tennis. Because tennis is a lonely sport.
Yeah.
You are by yourself and half the time you don't even know how your opponent looks. You just see each other on a changeover. you know? But I believe that has helped me as well dealing with shit that hits the fan, right? But as a team player, it's helped me. You know, it's funny you said, has that helped you in the workforce? Because when I didn't have my own business and I was developing, you know, I was 18, 19, whatever. I had potential bosses hire me, and they told me they hired me because I was athletic and into sports, because they liked the team aspect of things, blending into the culture, you know?
Yeah.
Working, being a team player. So absolutely, it's helped me in life.
I'll ask you this. Would you hire you?
Yeah, in a split second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And would you work for you?
100%.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, because the culture and the environment that I believe that I've created for my team is a healthy one. And the ego gets checked at the door.
Right.
You know, it's funny because just 2 days ago, I'm directing a spot, which I can't say what it is yet, right. But, you know, about 3 months ago, I think you remember when we met, I had done a job with Robert De Niro.
Yes.
Okay. Well, 2 days ago, I'm supposed to be directing this commercial, but I also operated and held a light and operated a teleprompter and just kind of like, you know what? There's no ego. I'm not better than anybody else. Right. Let's get the job done. And I think that if I thought I'm too good for this, what am I doing? Well, I shouldn't be doing it. No, then I'm not setting a good example.
Right.
You know, for my team. So again, egos get checked at the door. You have anything that you want to talk about, let's chat. You know, there's a time and a place to talk about it and address something and acknowledge it and deal with it. I welcome it. You know,
I've always told people when I managed teams, when I was doing events and promotions, like, there's nothing that I'm asking you to do that I haven't done or won't do myself.
Yeah.
So the only reason I'm asking you to do it is because I've been there and I know it's possible. Right. So, and I've moved up, but it doesn't mean I can't do it. So yeah.
No, Daniel, I mean, it also gives you not just respect, but credibility and everything, because I've held a light and I have been an actor and I have walked a mile in their shoes, and I haven't done sound, but I've pretty much worn every hat there is, you know? So when I'm giving direction to my crew, there's a level of substance and acknowledgement from them. I can feel that respect that I know, okay, thank you. It's appreciated. I know you've done this before. I know you know what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah. You know, and nothing's beneath me. You know, I'll do it again. You know?
So before we continue, Sevag, there's a gap there. So you were a tennis player, and now you're directing and owning your own studios. What happened?
Okay, so so let's touch on tennis. So, you know, tennis has been a really critical part of my life. You know, it's taught me so much. It's introduced me to, it's a great community. It's like golf, you know, it's introduced me to a network of people that will again, always be in my life. It's taught me a lot about life, and I still love it. And I also was a tennis coach, you know, so I went through, and I love developing children and seeing them, you know, get better and develop and stuff like that. So I love the process. So again, it's been good to me. It's always going to be in my DNA. And the best time of my life is when I'm on the tennis court with my children, you know, teaching them and seeing them improve and listen and develop as a human being. I just love it, man. You know, so I always say if I can make what I make financially from teaching tennis that I do from, you know, directing and producing, I would have chosen that, you know. But unfortunately, in Toronto, the window to teach or play tennis is far smaller than in Las Vegas and where you're at, LA, because of the weather, you know?
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, if I'm teaching in a bubble or in an indoor facility, I'm paying half of the money that I'm making, I'm giving to the club, you know, and there's only so many hours in the day to teach, you know, before you're exhausted.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So tennis taught me a lot. So, let's fast forward, you know, I was a head tennis pro at a very elite club here, and it was like a 5-diamond club. I'm 18 years old, making $50 an hour. I had my own place. They gave me a card. They gave me a per diem of $50 a day. My father used to come visit me on weekends, and I still remember this like it was yesterday. It was the only time that my father actually said, "Son, I'm proud of you," because he knows what he had to go through for me to be at this level.
Yeah.
You know? The early days, the extra work to make the money, to give me a racket, you know, all these things. He knows. I'll never know. Daniel, I'll never know what he went through, right?
Yeah.
I can only imagine. So back then there was no caller ID. There was no, you know, voice, none of this FaceTime and stuff like that. So, you know, winter came. I taught at this club for like 5 months. It was a harsh winter. It's 2 hours north of Toronto, and there's no bubble. There's no indoor court. So what the fuck am I going to do in the winter? I'm going to school there too. It's my last year of high school, you know? So I was very respected by my teachers because I'm kind of making as much as them, you know?
Wow.
And, right? I'm making good money, and I'm a student.
Wow.
Right. But in the winter, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I literally made an executive decision. I quit, and I went to LA. And then I called my father and I said, "Dad, don't come up this weekend. It's going to cost you a lot more money than you think." He said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "I'm in LA." He goes, "No, you're not." And I said, "Yes, I am." He says, "No, you're not." So until I hung up, I gave him a phone number, and he called me back at an 818 number.
Whoa.
Did not believe me. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I did fast forward a little bit.
Yeah,
so let me touch on why I moved to LA.
I was going to say, because that takes big balls to just.
So why did I move?
No
to
pun intended.
Yeah.
It takes big balls to call your dad and said, "I've moved."
Yeah.
So,
But we have a lot of family in LA too. Like my grandmother was there, my uncles are there, I have cousins there. So it wasn't like I was going somewhere where it was going to be very expensive and I was going to be alone, you know. These are cousins, these are blood, and I was comfortable with them. But, you know, one thing that I fast forwarded on was, you know, there was a time where, you know, I was in high school and I was in drama class, and I love drama. I always loved drama. My parents were kind of somewhat actors back home as well, or they dabbled into it. But, you know, I was the only one out of my friends that drove, you know, 16 and had a light and like I got my license at 16. I had a car at 16. See, my father didn't deprive me of anything. So I was kind of spoiled. Okay. And I remember receiving a phone call from one of my friends who's an actor and a very successful one, not to name any names. And he called me and he's in a panic and he's like, Sevag. I said, what's up? And he's like, my scooter broke down and I have a big audition and I need to get to my audition. I said, okay, I'll come pick you up, man. So I went, picked him up, took him to an audition and waited in the waiting room in the casting facility. I was just waiting there. You know, back then I had a lot of hair, right? I was 2 inches taller.
I've seen the pictures. Yeah.
You've seen the picture. So I was kind of like, the Johnny Depp Booker, like 21 Jump Street, you know, Bart Simpson, 2 inches taller, like bulletproof hair, right? So I'm in the casting room and someone walked out of the room and he was just kind of looking at me, walked back in, and then 20 minutes later he walked back out, went back in, and he came back out. He said, "Hey, are you auditioning for us?" And I said, No, I'm here with a friend of mine. And he goes, "I'd like you to audition. There's a role there for you." I go, "Nah, it's not my thing. I'm in drama class, but it's not my thing. I'm an athlete, right?" And he asked me one more time. And finally, my friend's like, just do it, right? Just do it already, right? So I went in. It was a cold read. It was a cold, like, I don't know the lines. I did it. And lo and behold, I got the part.
I hate you.
But my friend hated me too.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, Thank God. My friend didn't get that part, but 2 weeks later, he got a big lead in a feature film, and the schedules of the shooting schedules would have been conflicting. So everything happens for a reason, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I got the bug. I fell in love with it. This was easy. This was really easy, and it came to me, right? Yeah. And so I asked my friend, I said, hey, this was fun, and I got paid for it, right? So let me, is there any way I can get an agent or your agent? And you know what? This guy was the coolest. We were buds as it was. And, and he said, call this person. And I called that agent. And I went in and she signed me on. And, I went and did. And Daniel, this is what's kind of crazy is I had zero training, but I had confidence.
Oh, man.
No, honestly, I had confidence and I had comfort. I didn't give a shit.
That's the thing.
If I didn't get the part. I didn't give a shit if I didn't get the part. And again, tennis being a one-man sport, where all the attention is on you, right? Yeah. And you deal with it. You deal with the sun being in your eyes. You deal with the elements. There's no excuses. You lose, it's your fault.
Right.
But there's a level of stress and anxiety in an individual sport. There's a way you either handle it or you buckle. And at that time when I didn't care so much about failing, I don't get this audition, I don't get the part, I don't care, right?
Yeah.
That helped me.
Yeah. And that's something that you can't teach. People know or don't know.
No, very true. But I got the bug. I got the bug and I wanted it more. And so when I was up north back at that tennis place and I wanted to get into acting, back then, hey, you're into your looks and you're into chicks, you're into this. So I just thought, hey, I'm going to LA where it's all at, And that's why I just, again, I did. I don't know if I could do that now at this age, right? But I didn't have that responsibility to handicap me, right? Yeah. So I just left.
Because I'll tell the people listening, if you are not an actor or you've never been out here, many of us dream of that moment that you're just sitting there and somebody goes, we want you. And then they're like, now you're going to make it. And you're like, yay. And no, because you're most of us are auditioning day in, day out and just trying to get a chance. But you know what? It's a perfect alignment of everything working for you. And that's, as a friend now, I'm so glad you had that opportunity because it obviously gave you the experience to be where you are now. And that's such a beautiful thing. It did. But also, it puts things into perspective and it's a wake up call when you go to LA and you don't really know anybody in the business, you really don't. And you're taking a poke at it, but yet you come from a family where you miss them. You're close. The biggest obstacle and challenge was I miss my family. Right. What did I do here? I'm going back to Toronto. I can't do this, And so I went back to Toronto where I knew people, where things were easier, where I had support of my parents. Wow. And I always tell people now, things changed for me when I started giving a shit about the craft, about acting, about, getting the part. Because it's like a little switch goes off in you. And when you really want it, it translates to the camera. The lens captures everything, as you know. It captures desperation, or that, there's a fine line between wanting something and, oh my God, I got to book this part because now I've moved out of my parents' house. I got to pay the rent check. Right? Yeah. So when you're actually enjoying the process, that also shows. Yeah. Right? And so I say that to a lot of people. You got to just enjoy the process. Just go with the flow, man, and the rest will happen. If you have talent, one thing you can't fake is preparation. So if you do your part and you prepare and you know the lines, that's respected, man. Then you're automatic. Then you're tapping into the emotions and the feelings and stuff like that, right? Yep. But if you can't, then you're looking for the lines. You're wasting people's time. Yep. Yeah. So, we're almost at 45-minute mark. No, we're not. Yeah. I told you this goes quick. Just to tell everybody, because we
There's
have
so much to talk about.
We have the pre-interview that I do with my guests, and I tell them, don't think about it because time goes really fast.
Oh my goodness.
And when we were in the Savon had this big list of things, and we were in the car, and I look over at my boyfriend, and I kind of like, you couldn't see us, but I give him this look like he's got too much he wants to talk about. We're not going to have time. But, before we continue to the next 15 minutes, there's the part of the show where I ask my guests to share some words of wisdom with my listeners. So, Sevag, what words of wisdom do you have?
These words of wisdom, then, I'm going to direct not just to your audience, but also to my children.
Okay.
Have no regret. Seeing regret in people's eyes is like poison. Because there's no wrong decision. That's the decision you made at the point for a reason. When you reflect and you go, shit, I should have done this. Shit, I should have called that person. I wish I did that. Or, I always tell my son, I got 2 boys and a girl, and they're my angels, Just do it. There is winning and failure. If you look at it like that, and you always look at the glass half full and appreciate what you have, the rest is gold. I mean, look, we got one life to live, man. We got one kick at the can, right? Yeah. That's what I believe. And there's that saying, you're only, what's the saying? You're only remembered for 2 generations.
Yeah.
Right?
Very true.
So what I want to be remembered for is this guy was passionate about his family, and he was passionate about what he did. That's what he had, drive in what he did, So don't do something for money. Time is the most expensive currency. Money you can make and lose. Health you get and lose. There's that, the poet, Robert Frost? Nothing Gold Can Stay. It's from that movie Outsiders.
Okay.
I think so. So, you're rich one day, poor the next. You're healthy one day, sick the next. You're good looking one day, then you lose your hair and not so good looking, right? Be thankful for what you got and just go for it, man. What's the worst that can happen? You're going to fail? Again, you learn more off of a loss than a win.
Yeah.
That's what I want my kids to know. And pick something that you're passionate about. Don't do it for the money. Yeah. Don't do it for the money. Do it because you love it, and that's your motivation. That's enough motivation because you love it. You're doing it every day. Right. I love going to work, Daniel. I love that hustle. That shirt you're wearing, yeah. I love the hustle. I enjoy the journey because it makes me a better person. Not everything's going to be good. That's why there's that saying, hey, today was a special day. Today was a good day. I don't welcome the bad days, but I'm there to learn from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. You kind of stole my last question.
Sorry, man.
No, because I was going to ask, like, what would you, but I have a twisted, another side to that question. But I don't want to not talk about the cancer, if you don't mind.
No.
Can you walk us through that journey a little bit?
So after, I was an actor, and then, I also was a sports agent. So I represent a lot of athletes. So there was, you can't be a talent agent and an actor because that's a conflict, right? It's a direct conflict. But I became a sports agent because like you said, I am somewhat of an entrepreneur. I love business. So I recognized the need in the business, in the industry, because I was working as a talent agent's assistant, and I would see the breakdowns come through, looking for a soccer team, looking for a real boxer, looking for an ice skater and stuff like that. So I had that eureka moment once. I still remember like it was yesterday. I was laying down in bed. I'm like, I got to make more of a living, starving actor, right? You book some jobs, you don't the other. And I'm like, I got to get a job, and I don't want to frickin' be a waiter. And I'm like, hang on. I see these breakdowns where they need teams of football players and stuff like that. So half my circle of friends were athletes and the other half were actors. So I can't be a talent agent. So I'll be able to be a sports agent. I started a company called Elite Athlete Management. I did it for like 12 to 13 years. So I provided the film and television industry with the real deal, real athletes. So, you know, it was refreshing for a casting director and a director to have a real boxer that could biomechanically throw a hook or whatever punch they need and still do repetition. You know, actors are like, yeah, can you give me a break? Can you give me a second? I need to, you know, that sort of, there was no attitude. It's like, you want to do another take? Sure. And they're getting authentic, you know, moves. Like it's easier to teach a figure skater to say, drink milk, love life, than to have an actor learn a triple lux. You know,
Exactly.
that's,
Yeah.
so I was very successful with that. In the beginning, it took a while for people to recognize this new business, but it was a disruptor for sure, you know? And once directors got a taste of that, they were coming directly to me. So were casting directors. And then casting directors started hiring me to source out athletes for their jobs. So it was allowing me to talk to casting directors on a new level, you know, and gain their respect, their trust and stuff. I was their filter, really. So after a while of doing that and being an actor, and when I say I was an actor, I was a working actor, you know, like I was getting some good jobs. I branded myself, and unfortunately, you know, we talked about this due to 9/11.
Yeah.
I played a terrorist and everything. I shaved my head, grew a beard. I know how to speak Armenian. I can do Arabic dialect. And, you know, there was a necessity, like there were more, terrorist roles out there, you know, so I branded myself as the top 5 people to call when you need an actor to play a terrorist, you know, that sort of thing. And I was working. I was building my body of work. I was building my demo reel, I was making money.
Right.
And so now I'll just kind of throw in the cancer aspect of it. But what was happening was, you know, all of a sudden I was feeling tired. I still remember this. You know, I was lethargic and, I was kind of walking around like a zombie, and I had a pimple on the roof of my mouth, and it stayed there for over a week. And I found that, you know, whenever I popped it, because there was like stress building up in my head, whenever I popped it, it would relieve the stress buildup in my head. So I went and saw I went to see my family doctor. He said, "Oh, it's nothing." I said, "Okay." 2 weeks later, I still felt the same. I called him up. I said, "Listen, I still feel the same." I went and saw him. He said, "Again, you're fine, but let me send you to an ear, nose, throat specialist," right? I set up an appointment with a specialist. Time went by. I went and saw him, and I walked in. I opened my mouth. He looked at it. He's like, "You're fine." Sent me home.
Oh, wow.
But he set up a 6-week, follow-up.
Follow-up, yeah.
I still remember I was doing dairy farmers. I was doing a casting for Dairy Farmers of Canada. And my wife called me at the time, and she said, "Hey, your follow-up's today." And I said, "I'm not going. I mean, the guy literally kicked me out of the office. It's a waste of time." He said, "I'm fine." She's like, "I think you should go. Just go for, you know." And so I told my assistant, "Look, we got 2 more people to do. Put them on tape. I'm going to go." So I went, walked into his office. I opened my mouth. His jaw dropped. And I was very in tune with, you know, I saw his jaw. I said, "What's up, doc?" And he goes, "Well, I don't like the color of it. It's changed color and it's spread more. I can't promise you it's not cancer."
Oh,
and I
wow.
said, "Are you fucking kidding me, dude?" I'm like, 6 weeks ago, you literally kicked me out of your office. And so he set me up with a biopsy and this and that, whatever. So it came back that it was cancerous, you know, and then I went and saw a specialist, and, you know, they sit you down and they tell you you have cancer. It's kind of like an outer body experience. It's like Charlie Brown. It's like, wah, 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 wah. You don't hear anything else what they're saying. You know, I looked to my left and my wife's crying because this doctor's saying all the things they have to do to save my life. Like it was a difficult surgery.
Yeah.
So I had cancer on the roof of my mouth, my palate. So they had to basically remove my palate. And, you know, they cut me here, and they reconstructed a working palate. It was a long surgery. And so, that forced me to quit acting because after I recovered, when they tell you, let me just not fast forward this very important part. When they tell you you have cancer and you're a father, you're a parent, I've said this before, you're not scared of dying. You think of your children and you think of all the things that you're going to miss in life, like their graduation, like them getting married, grandchildren, just missing out on everything beautiful that life has to offer. And that's when the blinders come off, my friend, and that's when you say, yeah, I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do, but I'm also working late hours and I'm missing out on my children.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when I beat this shit, you say, I got to kind of reprogram myself and acknowledge what is true and meaningful in life to me. Because you forget it, with the hustle and you want to make money and you this and that, and you want to be successful. You're never going to get these days back with your children. They grow up, it's like a blink of an eye, and they're 13 and then 16 and then 25 and, God willing, right? So, yeah, that was tough hearing that. But I knew I would beat it. I'm blessed to have beaten it. I never thought for once that I would lose my battle with cancer. But I also had an incredible doctor, and I'm very grateful to him,
Before cancer, I wasn't afraid of dying. I've never been afraid of dying because I've had health issues most of my life.
Yes.
But I was like, whenever God's ready, I'm ready to go. But then I got better and I got stronger, and now I'm more involved in life. I'm not just living life, I'm involved in life, if that makes sense. And I tell God now, I'm like, when I pray and meditate, I'm like, okay, look, I'm not afraid of dying, but can we just hold on a little longer? Just a little bit more. Like, I'm not ready yet. Here's my one of my final questions. Since you're film stuff and you're a director, if we had the story of your life on film, what 5 things would have to be included in there?
Wow. That's a loaded question, my friend. I think the journey of the pivotal moments in life, the struggle of fitting in as an immigrant, wanting your parents to be proud, so that daily hustle of becoming something so that your parents didn't do all this sacrifice for nothing, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of winning your parents over and making them proud. That's huge. When like I said to you, I still remember the only time my father's ever said he was proud of me, and my children. And what are we at? 3 or 4?
4.
We're at 4?
Yeah. So the journey, the struggle, your parents, your children. One more.
I think this last chapter, maybe it's not the last, but where we're at right now, I've learned not to fear. And I think because you're a cancer survivor as well, fear goes out the window.
Yeah.
And being afraid to fail goes out the window. It means nothing to me. I don't give a shit if I fail. I think I've said that enough. Like, I don't look at it as failure. But if I don't try it, shame on me. And that's one thing. And I say this to my kids. Don't do it for me. Do it because you want it. Try it. Try everything. Try everything you want. Find your path. Don't do it for me. Because when I'm gone, you're still stuck with that. And so I'd like the next whatever, because I always say to my kids, tomorrow is not promised. So live today. Tomorrow is not promised, right? And, your life can change in a split second. And unfortunately, our family has seen, too much of that. But embrace what you have. Stop bitching about what you don't have, right? And just go face everything head on without any fear. I think fear cripples you, man, and that's what I want. I want my kids to just be champions. I want them to be winners.
All right. And the last two questions questions. If you could go back and talk to little Sevag the first time he came or he left the country, what would you tell him?
I think I already know that I'm fortunate enough to have the family I have. As the parents that I have, because I can tell you growing up, we may not have had a lot, as in the money or whatever, but my friends were envious of the love that we had in the family.
Yeah.
My parents didn't have to tell me they loved me. They never told me, but I knew. And there are a lot of people that don't have that. So there's not much that I would say because I already knew and I already felt.
Cool. So in that kind of follows with, you're writing a thank you note to your parents. What does it say?
Say again?
You're writing a thank you note to your parents. What does it say?
You gave me everything and more. You gave me love. You gave me opportunity. What more could I want? And you gave me when you couldn't. I mean, it sucks that I took it too, but, but I was never deprived of anything. And that's why I try to not deprive my children, but I don't want to spoil them because I still want them, to have that animal instinct of survival. I don't want everything given to them. I want them to fend for themselves when they grow up as well. And that's one hindrance though. I have told my parents that is I developed in business at a late age because I was spoon fed everything, I had the vision, but I wasn't lazy. It's just I didn't need it. They took care of me. But, there's this saying, I'd rather have an employee that needs that money than one that doesn't because I know that person will value that job that they have, So again, back to what I would say to my parents. Thank you for everything. I wish you gave me less.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're out of time.
That sucks. Thank you, man.
But I will want you back on the show.
With pleasure.
I think there's so much more
that we didn't touch on.
Yeah. No, there's. In fact, I'm going to request that when you come to LA next time, we get coffee or dinner and record while we're chatting and eating and talk about life a little more. There's so much more that we have in common that I think we found out while we were working together. And by the way, I want to congratulate you because I saw the video and I saw the images.
Did you?
Yes. I wish I could tell people what it's about.
Oh, I'm excited. You were wonderful, Daniel. You were wonderful. Everybody was incredible in their stories. I can't wait. I can't wait till they kind of launch this whole campaign,
Hopefully by the time this airs, the campaign will start airing. So it'll come out about the same time. But if you're listening and you've already seen it or heard about it, please send us a message and let us know what you think. I cried the first time I saw it. I was so impressed. I loved it. I loved working with you.
Feelings mutual, man.
I was already in awe of you because of your energy and your aura. But when you literally took off your shirt so that the project would look better, my level of respect for you went up like 100 times. I was like, this dude is the kind of dude that I want to work with. Like, I want to be friends with him because I know that, like, he's a man. He loves what he does and he wants it to show, and it showed. And
thank you.
I particularly felt very touched because it was with me. Like, if I'd seen it with anybody else, I would have been like, oh, that guy's pretty cool. But you sat there and you were like, here, wear my shirt. And I was like, este vato, what's going on here? He's awesome.
I appreciate it, man. No, it was a pleasure working with all you guys. And, you know, I'd love to see you, and I will see you, because there's so much that I want to kind of put out there as far as the casting process and experiences and the stories that I have, that I want really my colleagues to hear as well as actors to hear. And I know you can relate. I mean, our worlds are so aligned, brother, you know, and I think we just get each other, you know? Yeah.
I just came from a weekend of volunteering for the SAG Summer Intensive workshops, and I networked and I saw people and I met people. In fact, as we're talking, I got a text from somebody I gave a card to, and I said, I'd love for you to be on my show. And they just text. So
awesome.
It's the hustle. You never stop working. And
there's no such thing as accidents. There's a reason why we met. You know, there's a reason why we talked about this. And, you know, we'll touch on that as well, because there's a lot of projects that I'm working on right now that I'd like to even push on your platform. Just a lot of exciting things coming up, man.
Well,
you know,
you've got your home here at Put It Together, and you've got a place in Laguna Beach. Anytime you want to come out, you are more than welcome.
I appreciate it. This felt great, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
My pleasure. Hold on. Don't hang up. Let me just, for everybody listening, Sevag,
Sagherian.
I want to pronounce it differently, Sagherian, but it's.
Oh, that's good. That's very Armenian. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, Sagherian. Yeah.
Sagherian, because I keep wanting to say Sagherian and you say it different. I'm like, okay, then it's not that.
No, say Sagherian. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so Sevag Sagherian has been here on the show. For those of you listening, I met him in New York during a very special project. You guys will get to hear about that and watch it. For now, I want to thank my producer, Mr. Kevin Moyers, for all his help and support. Thank you, sir. Inviting all of you to check us out at abnormalentertainment.com, where you can find all the shows on the network. Go check that out. You can find me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter under Daniel G. Garza. Go check that out. For now, I want to thank my guest, Sevag. I want to thank all of you for listening. And hey, this is Daniel Garza saying, put it together.
This is how I put it together. This is how I put it together. This is how I put it together.
Subscribe to Put It Together on iTunes, Stitcher, and at abnormalentertainment.com/putittogether. Find Put It Together on Facebook and tweet Daniel at Lil Messican, LILMESICAN. And for more podcasts, comics, books, movies, and more, head to abnormalentertainment.com.
You've been listening to the Abnormal Entertainment Network.